After the white moonlight fell from the building, my stepbrother hated me for 10 years, even though I later obtained him completely through despicable means. He never truly forgave me, until I left the country in a fit of anger and encountered a riot. My brother still shielded me without hesitation, and was shot dead. The last words he spoke in my arms were, "I spoiled you too much. I really regret becoming your brother. Everyone says I'm a madman." It was me who ruined my brother's life, a man who had always been upright and principled. So, I knelt on the long steps for 50 years, begging for a chance to start over. This time, I will fulfill my brother's wishes. I only ask for his peace and prosperity throughout his life. Judy, don't you find these things you've written disgusting when you read them yourself? You actually harbor such feelings for your own brother. The nostalgic voice reached my ears. As I opened my eyes, I saw Lucas holding my diary, his entire face flushed crimson with anger. That diary was filled with my desires for Lucas, but at this moment, I felt no shame at being exposed. Instead, I cried out in relief. I had truly been reborn at the moment of my first argument with Lucas, when he discovered my ulterior motives toward him. The vivid presence of my brother before me almost made me unable to control the trembling of my body. That's great, he's still alive. Lucas noticed something was off with me. The still burning anger instantly cooled by half. He pointed at the ground. "Take all of these, and burn them." In my previous life, after hearing those words, I completely lost control. Grabbing him by the collar and kissing him fiercely, Lucas was utterly shocked and fled in panic, gradually drifting apart from me, and all my obsessions, because of this outrageous kiss, broke free from their shackles. I hated Linda even more for stealing my brother away, which led to all the tragedies that followed. So this time, I fiercely wiped the tears from my face, picked up the box filled with diaries. Okay, I'll burn them. Those diaries contained records of over a decade of time between me and Lucas. My mom and Lucas's mom are best friends, but my mom was a hopeless romantic with poor judgment in men. She married an abusive husband. When I was 5, my mom passed away despite emergency treatment. My dad was a chronic alcoholic. He died falling into a ditch on his way to turn himself in. Aunt Lucy adopted me, then she passed away when Lucas and I had just started middle school. From then on, in that vast villa, only Lucas, a few servants, and I remained. Actually, Lucas is only a few months older than me, but I'm a troublemaker, and Lucas is a little grown up, so since childhood, he's been cleaning up my messes. Aunt Lucy is always busy with work, even the maids and nannies sometimes take leave. I had gastroenteritis, and Lucas stayed with me all night while I was on an 4 drip. When I got into a fight, he always had my back. I was afraid of thunder, so he would bring his pillow and blanket to squeeze into my nest with me. Even when Linda fell to her death because of me, Lucas hates me to the bone. Yet when the riot broke out, he didn't hesitate for a second to shield me with his body. My brother is perfect in every way, except his love for me is only that of family. I love him. And my conscience is troubled. In her previous life, when the nanny Monica learned of Lucas's death, she was choked with sobs. Uncle James even pointed at my nose and scolded me. "Judy, you're just a lunatic, destined to be a lone star of calamity. Are you only satisfied when everyone around you is dead?" I remember what Lucas said to me at the end. "I spoiled you too much. I really regret becoming your brother." He regretted it. I actually regret it too. The temple in the northern part of the city is said to be very efficacious. I wish to pray that in the next life, Lucas won't meet me again, but perhaps it's because I've done too many wrongs. The abbot refused to see me, so I knelt year after year. The mottled bloodstains on the steps were all from my cowhouse, from black hair to white. At last, in the twilight of my years, the abbot finally agreed to see me. He said, "What has already happened cannot be changed. But perhaps there is still a chance for rebirth. You are his destined calamity. Without resolution, all efforts will be in vain." Then, she pressed a brocade pouch into my trembling hand. "It will guide you to the moment of rebirth." When I awoke again, the pouch clenched in my hand confirmed it was no dream. In this life, I won't repeat the same mistakes, at any cost, as long as my brother is safe and well. The next day when we went to school, neither of us mentioned what happened the night before. An oppressive silence filled the car. Lucas finally broke the silence as we got out of the car. "You hurt Linda the other day. Go apologize to her today." His tone was stiff, It seemed he had anticipated I would argue with him again before he even spoke. I just nodded faintly. Okay. Lucas looked at me in surprise, but in the end, he said nothing. During the lunch break, as agreed, I planned to go and apologize to Linda. After searching around, I found her with Lucas. The noisy afternoon was warm and cozy. The girl giggled and lightly punched the boy opposite her in the chest. The next second, her peripheral glance caught sight of me, and she immediately hid behind Lucas in fright, covering the bandage on her hand. Lucas instinctively shielded her. How did you get here? A slightly distant remark. He had already forgotten about asking me to come apologize this morning. It's really not my brother's fault for being nervous. I am indeed a madman. I have an intense possessiveness towards Lucas. He's good-looking and gentle. There are quite a few girls who like him. I drove every single one of them away. I understood Lucas's silent approval, so I grew even more convinced. My brother does care about me, just like in our past life. I slipped something into his drink, forcing him to cross the line. He resisted my touch, yet I could still discern pleasure in his fragmented murmurs. But I overlooked that it was merely an uncontrollable physiological response. Linda was special to him. Even 10 years after her death, Lucas still hadn't forgiven me. I suppressed the overwhelming bitterness in my heart and let out a sigh. I bowed deeply to Linda. I'm sorry for causing you harm the other day and for publicly humiliating you, putting you in an awkward position. Can you forgive me? Linda cautiously glanced at Lucas, and seeing that he remained silent, she responded, It's all right. Don't worry about it, I forgive you. I looked up and met Lucas's eyes directly. They were swirling with emotions I couldn't comprehend. In my previous life, there was another reason I disliked Linda. I had seen her getting close to the school bully Harry more than once. Harry is my brother's archenemy. He has a terrible personality and loves to trip my brother up. I strongly suspect Linda was sent to deceive my brother's feelings. So I target her at every turn, no matter what the truth is this time. I have to get to the bottom of it, to bring the two who missed each other in their past life back on track. So, I started pestering Linda, saying I felt guilty and wanted to be friends with her. At first, she was still a bit wary. Only after seeing that I truly meant no harm did she let her guard down. I casually asked her, What do you think of my brother? Linda's ears turned red. Lucas, he's helped me a lot. And he really likes animals. He used to often feed the cats around here and even got them neutered. I think he's very kind. Indeed, they are deeply in love with each other. Linda is indeed quite outstanding. She comes from a modest family background but is very determined, relying on scholarships to pursue her education, the standard image of a poor, stubborn little white flower. My brother is handsome, ranked first in his grade, and has a large inheritance left to him by Aunt Lucy. Anyone who sees them would say they're a perfect match. Even though I've long been aware of this, my heart still sours with envy. At night, Lucas knocked on my door for the first time in a while. He didn't dare to come in. Last time, it was because he suddenly barged into my room that he discovered those shameful thoughts of mine. I spoke up first. I was just looking at schools to apply to, nothing else. Since my rebirth, I felt Lucas continuously distancing himself from me. Even without that kiss, he couldn't accept the fact that the little sister he raised had feelings for him. And even without that kiss, I couldn't let go of Lucas. He coughed unnaturally. Why haven't you been going home with me lately? I was a bit surprised, not expecting him to ask about this. Because I need to quickly get used to life without you, I silently said in my heart. Even today, I wanted to find a school far from Lucas. Anyway, both he and Linda have good grades, so they'll definitely end up at the same school in the future. As for me, the farther away from him, the better. I casually made up an excuse. I get along quite well with Linda, so we agreed to go home together and chat along the way. After saying it, even I found it hard to believe. Lucas stared straight at me, making my scalp tingle. I stiffened my neck and asked, Did I interrupt you? He frowned and tapped me on the forehead. What nonsense are you thinking? That's not the case at all. Then he grabbed his hair in slight irritation. Forget it, it's good to make more friends. That day, I walked home with Linda as usual. She had opened up to me quite a bit, and I wanted to uncover the real reason behind her fatal fall in the previous life. Everyone believed that I was the one who pushed her off the building. Even Lucas thought so. After all, I have too much of a record, but I didn't. I didn't even touch a single thread of her clothing. She cried and jumped down herself. I wondered if something had happened at Linda's home that led her to have thoughts of suicide. Linda, if you have any problems, you must tell me. Whatever difficulties you're facing, let me know, and I'll help you solve them. Linda was stunned at first, then her eyes turned red. She really had something going on, just about to speak up. Suddenly, a gang of troublemakers darted out from the alley. They didn't come with good intentions, wielding iron rods torn from school desks. I learned some self-defense techniques as a child and barely managed to fight them off. Linda wasn't faring as well. Seeing the stick about to hit her, I didn't have time to think and shielded her with my body. Then everything went black. When I woke up again, I only felt a burning pain from the back of my head down to my back. I was covered in mud, but the scene before me left me no time to be shocked. Linda lay naked beside me. Hey, Linda, what's wrong with you? My voice trembled. And without a second thought, I reached for the phone nearby. I just wanted to contact my brother as quickly as possible, but the phone was shattered, completely unresponsive. At that moment, a blinding light suddenly shone directly into my face. I instinctively lowered my head and squinted my eyes. The sound of police sirens blended with Lucas's furious voice. I felt a force push me away, causing me to stumble onto the nearby steps. Judy, I really thought you'd changed for the better. Who knew you were just biding your time for today? Lucas's eyes were bloodshot. I stared at him blankly, only realizing it belatedly. He had misunderstood. Bro, no, it wasn't me. Lucas picked up Linda. You're holding the phone and still saying it wasn't you. Delete all those photos right now. I'll deal with you when we get back. I stared blankly at his retreating figure, my eyes brimming with tears. It really wasn't me. Finally, all the strength in my body seemed to drain away, and darkness enveloped my vision once again. I dreamed that in my past life, Lucas had been this angry with me before. When Linda fell from the building and I was taken in for questioning, Lucas hit me for the first time, a very loud slap. How could you do such a thing? I'm very disappointed in you. I'd rather never have had a sister like you. His eyes held a sorrow so profound it had nearly settled into calm. No one could blame him, after all. On the rooftop that day, there were only Linda and me. No one would believe that a promising female student on the verge of graduation would jump from the building for no reason at all. But even if Lucas doesn't believe me, he still found me the best lawyer. There were no surveillance cameras on the rooftop, and no direct evidence to prove I pushed Linda off. Besides, my fingerprints weren't found on her body. But there's also the possibility that I incited Linda to jump. In the end, the incident was classified as an accident. Lucas paid a large sum of money to Linda's mother, yet she still comes to the school to make a scene every day. So, Lucas took the initiative to drop out of school with me. I truly ruined his life. If it weren't for me, how brilliant his life could have been. No matter how the outside world speculates about this matter, for Lucas, it was his sister who caused the death of the person he loved. From that day on, there was no going back. I woke up from my sleep in a panic. What greeted my eyes was the familiar bedroom. Lucas kept vigil by my bedside, looking haggard with dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me wake up, a glimmer of light flickered in his eyes. Then, he held me tightly in his arms. It turned out that Linda had woken up before me. She recounted the entire sequence of events. I was knocked out trying to save her. Those thugs took photos of her and fled the scene. Lucas held me, his body trembling uncontrollably. The words were repeated apologies. I'm sorry, Judy, I'm sorry. It was my mistake to blame you. I didn't take good care of you, and I wronged you without knowing the facts. You should hit me. His trembling was obvious and clear, the warmth of his body transferring over, making my eyes well up with heat unconsciously. Days of pent-up grievances erupted all at once. My tears and snot were all smeared on Lucas's clothes. Bro, it's all my fault. If only I hadn't been so foolish before, you wouldn't distrust me now. I shook my head desperately, hoping Lucas would believe my promise. I was truly wrong. I'll never pester you or make things difficult for you again. I won't fantasize about you anymore. I just want to be your sister. Forever be your sister. I felt my brother's body stiffen for a moment, then his hand gently patted my back. We held each other like that for a long, long time. It seemed as if all the previous estrangement had completely vanished. Lucas brought over the porridge from the side. Eat something first. He tied up my hair for me and grabbed the coat. I'll go out to buy your favorite egg tarts as an apology. Wait for me to come back. I have something important to tell you." I obediently looked at Lucas, feeling like there was something different about him. As if he had made some kind of resolution, but I waited for so long, and my brother never came back. Instead, I first received a message from Linda. "Judy, please, come find me on the school rooftop. You must come alone, please." I ran out of the house like a madman. Why did it still happen? The abbot's words kept replaying in my mind. What has happened cannot be changed. Can I really change nothing? Then what's the point of my rebirth? But the message Linda sent me is different from my previous life. In my past life, she sent me a provocative message. She lied to me, saying she was having a secret rendezvous with Lucas on the school rooftop. But this time was different. I felt the truth was within reach. On the rooftop, Linda was crying, just like in the previous life. "What the hell is wrong with you, Linda? Is jumping off this building the only option you have?" Linda looked at me and suddenly dropped to her knees with a thud. "Judy, there's no escape for me. The people who attacked us that day were from Harry's gang. They took so many photos and videos of me. I was doomed from the start." My blood boiled instantly. "You knew all along. Why didn't you tell the police? You're the victim here. It's not your fault." Linda let out a scream, clearly on the verge of a breakdown. "It's no use, Judy, I've resisted. It's no use. They threatened my mom and my younger siblings. Harry's family background isn't simple. We had no way to oppose him. He's a demon. He's been toying with us all along. He wants to ruin Lucas, which is why he targeted you. I'm sorry, you and your brother have both been so good to me. Stay away from me. As long as you don't touch me, there won't be any evidence of you on me. Lucas cares so much about you. He will do everything in his power to protect you. But if I don't listen to Harry, my family will have no way out. If I die, maybe it will make things bigger. I just beg you, after I'm gone, to look after my family a little, just for the sake of our short month of friendship." I didn't even let her finish speaking before I grabbed her by the collar and yanked her down. All I could hear was the echo of my own roar. "Then do you know what will happen to my brother after you die? He's been longing for you his entire life." Only then did I realize I had already cried myself into a complete mess. Linda stared at me in bewilderment. The brocade pouch in the pocket fell to the ground with a plop. It lay quietly on the floor, and I vaguely remembered the warmth that had radiated into my palm when I first held it. Since I am the destined calamity in Lucas's life, then, without me, he would be happy, right? So that's what it meant. I finally understand. So, as long as we make a big scene, it'll work, right? I turned and ran toward the edge of the platform. At first, it was actually a light floating sensation, then came the heavy feeling of falling. I chose the abyss, so he fell into the abyss. Boom, a deafening sound erupted, followed by a piercing scream, shattering what should have been a peaceful night. Meanwhile, Lucas, just a street away from the school, was nearly startled into dropping what he held in his hands by the sudden explosion. "This is the last egg tart. The shop we originally planned to go to was closed." He went to several places before finally discovering this newly opened one near the school. The crowd around gradually grew noisier. It seemed someone died. A student jumped from the building, a female student. Lucas turned his head and looked toward the school. Suddenly, he remembered the sharp pain in his heart at the moment of the loud noise earlier. Lucas found himself inexplicably heading towards the school. He had never been one to join in the crowd, yet that day, a voice inside him seemed to whisper, "You should go and see." He saw Linda. She was lying on the ground crying, still calling Judy's name. Why would she call Judy's name? Lucas grew increasingly panicked, unable to control his hands as he desperately pushed through the crowd. The person lying on the ground. He couldn't possibly fail to recognize her. No matter how she changed, he would recognize her at a glance. But his sister should be lying in her room right now, waiting for him to bring home egg tarts. No, she shouldn't be lying on the ground in pieces like this. Linda confessed everything. She cried and said it was her fault that Judy died. I deliberately framed her when I got hurt before. That day, she came to me angrily, and I intentionally placed the cup near her. After she accidentally knocked it over, I pretended she pushed me and cut my arm. She actually believed it. She even apologized to me, even though she was the only one who treated me as a friend. Lucas stared at her blankly, taking a long time to find his voice again. "Did she Say anything at the end, she said. If I die, you'll remember me for the rest of your life. Lucas felt as if someone was choking him, making it impossible for him to catch his breath. He finally realized, the one who killed his sister was himself. Lucas still vividly remembered the day he asked Judy to burn the diary. She stood in the yard, wiping her tears as she burned the items. Her heart ached with a sharp pain. He asked Monica, the nanny, to call Judy back, yet he found himself uncontrollably walking toward the pile of ashes. There's one book that wasn't completely burned. He stomped out the flames. The delicate handwriting inside was also taught stroke by him. If Big Brother knew I loved him, would he find me disgusting? At that moment, he felt nothing mattered anymore. She shouldn't be blamed. He had no right to blame Judy at all. In this world, no matter what mistakes Judy makes, his crimes were compounded. He was just too afraid to take that step. What if one day Judy no longer liked him? She had seen a better and broader world. When the man outside made her realize that her brother was actually insignificant, they couldn't even remain as siblings anymore. That single step he took would lead him to eternal damnation. That night, he even thought with a twisted mind, it would be better if he and Judy were blood-related. At least then, there would be an indelible mark between them forever. He was too afraid, so when he realized Judy hated Linda, for the first time, he didn't distance himself from someone his sister disliked. He thought it would be enough to make Judy give up. She would grow up someday, leave him someday. But when Judy remained unconscious for days and woke up crying, apologizing and calling herself a jerk, he just wanted to say, he was the real bastard, 1,000 times worse than her. Not only that, but he was also a coward. He let Judy bear the burden of their shared sin alone. Lucas figured it out. He would go and tell Judy, at worst, we could go to a place where no one knows us. But it was that moment of hesitation that cost him his sister forever. By the time Lucas came to his senses, he had already taken care of Judy's funeral arrangements. Inside that small urn lay the person he loved most. She was so lively and active. How could she bear to stay in such a cramped space? The senses seemed to return belatedly. Countless blades appeared to grow from within his own organs. He retched desperately. The blades sliced through his esophagus and throat. In the end, nothing came up. He could only stay in Judy's room all day long. It was the only place left in this world that still carried her scent. He had no idea how much time had passed. His life had already come to a full stop on the day his sister died. Just a wall away, Uncle James and the nanny Monica were consumed with anxiety. This seems like a case of lost soul. I heard the temple in the northern part of the city is very effective. I never thought I would wake up again. In the dimly lit rented room, there was an admission letter. The name written on it was Judy. I had actually reincarnated into a body with the same name. This Judy doesn't look much like me. She has no parents and grew up in an orphanage. Her social connections are almost non-existent in their simplicity. It's almost as if she's a glitch in the world's operation. It's 18,000 miles away from the city where I used to live. Suddenly, it seemed like everything I had hoped for had come true. I couldn't calm my emotions for a long time. The brocade pouch still lay quietly in my palm, but the hidden warmth within seems to have vanished. Now it's just an ordinary piece of cloth. I've decided to live as Judy. Seasons change, years pass. 3 years passed in a blink. During that time, I searched for news about Lucas. The incident of my fall from the building caused a huge uproar back then. Even many media outlets rushed to cover it. Harry and the forces behind him have all fallen. Linda seems to be fine as well. Actually, this is for the best. Everything is back on track. I think it's time for me to let go. At first, life without my brother was really hard to bear. Later, my busy life left me no room to dwell on it. By the time I realized, I had already grown accustomed to it. I become dumb the moment I meet Lucas. When he's not around, my intelligent brain regains control. So I decided to get a boyfriend. Maybe being in a relationship will help me completely get rid of Lucas. Not just physically, mentally. I have to break free too. I can't cling to my brother forever. Besides, in his eyes, I'm already dead. Leo is my classmate. He has good looks and is quite interesting. But I really tried my best, only to find out it's not working. Still not working. Other than Lucas, I just can't accept anyone else. I even suspect I might not be straight. I'm Lucasexual. That night, I went out for drinks with Leo, wanting to clear the air. but he ended up getting drunk and spilled everything about himself. Let me be honest with you, actually like my brother. Who could understand the sense of redemption when he said those words? Leo drank, vomited, and cried all at once. I originally thought you were quite pretty and had a strong personality. I wanted to give it a try with you, to see if you could straighten me out. You won't know until you try, but no, I just love my brother, and I'll only love him for the rest of my life. He's saying all my lines. Because of this unique connection, Leo and I became best friends. Later, he was torn about whether to break the ice between him and his brother. My advice was, don't, one careless moment, and you might become a wild child without an elder brother, just like me. Leo was afraid too, so for 3 years in college, he never dared to speak up, still diligently searching for a chance to heal himself. I don't think it's likely. That day, he came over again. Hey, did you know 2 exchange students just arrived in our department? There's a welcome party tonight, and I heard they're really good looking. Come on, let's go. As soon as I entered the bar's private room, an inexplicable sense of foreboding washed over me. The class monitor from the next class whispered to us mysteriously, "This exchange student is quite a big deal. He started his own business right after entering university. Rumor has it he's pretty wild, and now his net worth is over 100 million. They say he's here to discuss some project with our school. That's great. Let's try to hitch a ride on his coattails." Leo muttered disdainfully beside me, "What's the big deal?" My brother managed the family company while he was in college too. I didn't have time to deal with him, only feeling my heart pounding violently. It wasn't until after we took our seats that a tall figure walked in. The streamers prepared by the class monitor burst with a pop at that moment. I looked up to see, all the blood in my body froze instantly. Directly opposite, the man's features gradually became clear under the light. He wore a heavy black overcoat, as if cut from a piece of the night itself, isolating all emotions from the outside world. A striking earring adorned the left earlobe, and upon closer inspection, one could see it was shaped like a star. Lucas, how could it be Lucas? I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me. The class monitor pulled the ribbon and enthusiastically introduced, "Welcome, Lucas and Linda." Only then did I notice Linda trailing behind Lucas. Looking listless, everyone began speculating. They really are a handsome guy and a beautiful girl. Do you think they might be a couple? Leo poked me from the side, but I still think he's not as good looking as my brother. I immediately glared at him. You're talking nonsense. Of course, my brother is better looking. Leo was suddenly scolded by me and looked utterly confused. Did you suddenly eat firecrackers or something? I covered his mouth, doing my utmost to minimize my presence, although initially this body didn't look quite like my original one, but 3 years later, it's becoming more and more alike. Good thing I wore a mask when I came today. Lucas barely glanced at me when he first walked in, then didn't spare half a look this way, definitely didn't recognize me. The classmates suggested playing truth or dare together. Lucas was already eye-catching by nature, and on top of that, he was today's main character. Everyone's attention was on him. Like Leo, they were all very curious about that question. Finally, someone seized the opportunity to ask Lucas a question. "Do you have a girlfriend?" "Yes." Lucas's calm response extinguished the hopes of many present, but some still refused to give up. The next round continued with the question, "Is your girlfriend in this room?" Everyone stared intently at Lucas. My heart involuntarily tightened. Lucas looked up. I wasn't sure if it was just my imagination. His gaze seemed to drift slightly in this direction. Here, now everyone was completely disheartened. Lucas just arrived, and his girlfriend is still here. That must be Linda. All right, I admit, even knowing this answer, I still feel a bit sad. Looking back now, it would have been better if I had died back then. If I had stayed by Lucas's side, watching him get married and have children later on, I probably would have gone mad. In the latter half, everyone seemed to have lost interest. A guy sitting next to Lucas, as if he had discovered something novel, pointed at his earring and asked, "Your earring is so unique. It looks like it has flowing sand inside." Lucas's face finally showed some expression. He touched the star-shaped earring on his ear, a gentle smile curling at the corner of his mouth. "Yeah. These are my sister's ashes." Everyone suddenly fell silent. The class monitor sobered up considerably and quickly changed the subject, but someone who had drunk too much didn't care about reading the room and asked, "So why the stars? Is there some special meaning behind it? This time, I truly felt it. Lucas's gaze fell upon me. That's because her name is Judy. My back was soaked with sweat. All the classmates turned to look at me. What a coincidence. We also have a Judy in our class. That's such a fate. This name isn't common at all. Why are you still wearing a mask today, Judy? I felt my heart was about to leap out of my throat, and Lucas was staring straight at me, seemingly determined not to miss any subtle expression on my face. I faked a cough and deliberately lowered my voice. Is that so? Huh, what a coincidence. I grew up in an orphanage, and I've always wanted an older brother too. I had a pollen allergy today. Does Lucas's younger sister also get pollen allergies? Leo looked at me puzzled. Since when do you have pollen allergies? I didn't know that. I want to tear his mouth off. No, Lucas kept staring, but the flickering light in the room made it hard to see the emotions in his eyes. But she's an exceptional liar, sweating bullets now. Fortunately, no one dwelled on the topic any further. After returning, I was still shaken by the incident. I felt that Lucas must have noticed me because of that name. In the following days, I continued to avoid him and Linda while maintaining my pollen allergy persona. The mask feels welded to my face. The daily life of an exchange student is quite different from ours. Lucas has already started a new life, and it won't be long before he forgets about me. Someone who shares the same name as his sister, at least. That's what I originally thought, but things didn't go as I expected. Lucas was haunting me relentlessly, even though logically speaking, I should be the one haunting him. When I went to the cafeteria for a meal, he sat at the table across from me. When I went to buy coffee, he casually bought 2 cups right next to me, a bit annoyed. Needless to say, the other cup was definitely bought for Linda. Finally, there was a day when I didn't see him, so I invited Leo to the cafe across from the school, planning to enjoy a good meal, just as the food was served. Lucas pushed the door open and walked in. Leo was wolfing down his food like a starving pig across from me, and just as he glanced my way, he saw me sitting upright in my seat. Why aren't you eating? You go ahead. He grinned like an asshole. I won't hold back then. Then she swept away all the omelette rice and strawberry parfait in front of me. A tall figure stopped beside us. A new parfait and several freshly baked, piping hot egg tarts were placed before me. Eat up. I looked up at Lucas, feeling a sudden urge to cry welling up in my heart. Finally, I gritted my teeth. I grabbed Leo's arm beside me. Thanks, but if I want to eat it, my boyfriend will buy it for me. The air froze for an instant. Leo lifted his head, still mid-bite, though slightly confused. A true bestie proves their worth in moments like these. In just a second, he grasped my intention and assertively wrapped his arm around my shoulders, using the straightest male voice he could muster in this lifetime. He said to Lucas, "Handsome, my baby's on a diet recently, not convenient." Okay, alright. I believe he tried his best. Lucas didn't say anything more and turned to leave the shop, until his figure completely disappeared at the intersection. I stared blankly at the parfait and egg tarts on the table. Leo also sensed something was wrong, his expression turning serious. Has he been harassing you? I shook my head, unsure of how to even begin explaining such a thing. Don't ask. Pretend to be my boyfriend for a while. Leo was very wary about this and accompanied me to and from school every day. Because of this, he didn't have a very good impression of Lucas, but after that day, Lucas seemed to vanish from my life all of a sudden. I guess he figured it out. I'm not his sister. His real sister wouldn't have the heart to make him sad. That evening, Leo came running over with a sneaky look on his face. I've got some earth-shattering gossip. Do you remember the other exchange student who came with Lucas a while back? I nodded. You mean Linda? Yeah, it's her. She's been getting roasted on the confession wall, accused of cheating and two-timing. She's only been here for a few days and already hooked up with several guys. Serves that Lucas right. Let him harass you while his own girlfriend. I, whoosh, stood up from my chair, startling Leo. What did you say? I said Linda cheated on Lucas. I couldn't hear anything that came after. By the time I realized it, I had already rushed out. She had classes this afternoon. The sky was gloomy, as if a storm was approaching. When I arrived at their classroom, everyone had already left. Only Linda remained. The moment she saw me, her body froze. I took off my mask, revealing a face that already bore a 50% resemblance to mine. Linda's pupils contracted, her body trembling involuntarily. What are you afraid of? I advanced step by step. And Linda retreated step by step, cold sweat dripping from her forehead, until I cornered her and grabbed her by the collar. Wasn't he good to you? Didn't you get what you wanted? Linda's eyes were filled with terror as she shook her head desperately. Are you scared now? Don't you fear that even as a ghost I won't let you off? Why treat him like this? Speak. Suddenly, I realized from Linda's tear-filled eyes. It seemed she wasn't looking at me. Then, trembling, she raised her hand and pointed behind me. A bolt of lightning struck from the sky. I turned around abruptly, a flash of light, brief but enough to see clearly, Lucas's face. Is this the way to do it? After saying that, Linda broke free from my weakened grip and practically stumbled out the door in a frantic rush. I understood instantly. I was deceived. My heart seemed to stop for a moment, only to start pounding wildly the next second, as if it were about to leap out of my chest. Bro, instinctively, I wanted to cover my mouth, but now, whether I call out, brother, or not, what difference does it make? He had already figured out it was me. Lucas walked straight toward me. How pathetic, 2 lifetimes, 2 bodies, and not a single drop of blood relation to Lucas, but he was completely suppressed by his bloodline. I only realized today that running away at full speed is also quite difficult. Lucas must be very angry that I'm clearly still alive, so close to him, yet refuse to acknowledge him. You bite your fingers subconsciously when you're angry. Then when you saw me buy 2 cups of coffee and thought I got one for Linda, you got so mad you bit your mask. It was hilarious. When lying, you tend to fiddle with your hair. You touched your hair 3 times when you lied about Leo being your boyfriend. It's thundering. It makes me scrunch up my nose in fear. Just like that, Judy, how could you think I wouldn't recognize you? All right, I really am stupid. I was wrong. Hadn't even left my lips when Lucas suddenly started laughing. It was a chilling laugh, a laugh that made my heart race. Do you hate your brother? Do you hate me, brother? Why are you pretending not to know me? How can I beg for your forgiveness? A series of questions left me utterly bewildered, but Lucas's voice was calm. So calm it was as if he were speaking of someone else's affairs, yet in his eyes burned a madness terrifying enough to make one's blood run cold. I retreated step by step until the cold glass pressed against my back. Nowhere to run. Lucas gave what might have been a gentle smile. Would kneeling work, or would Judy prefer to beat me up? It'd be best if you hit me hard, or maybe we could do something you'd enjoy more. How about that new collar you bought? You know, Big Brother will agree to anything. I'm better than those men out there, more to your liking. No one in this world could be closer to us than we are. Lucas wore an expression of near pleading desperation. I've never liked anyone else. I only love you. So, don't throw me away again. At that moment, only one thought crossed my mind. Lucas. Are you out of your mind? He is clearly the cold moon in the sky, the deity seated high upon the sacred altar. Why would he say such a thing? My brain couldn't process it in time. Yet I still sensed something off about his words. Collar, right? When did I ever buy a collar? I only have. It felt like something exploded in my head. All thoughts were blown to smithereens. I stared at Lucas in horror. In my past life, I had only ever bought a collar, but never used it, before my brother died. Before our last argument, Lucas suddenly grabbed my neck, silencing my unfinished words with his lips. It was a lingering yet fierce kiss, as if trying to devour something completely, yet still so careful. The rain patters softly. It suddenly dawned on me. So that was it. I wasn't the only one standing in the rain, enduring the damp and mud. Lucas was just as unclean as I was. A slender sliver of light peeked through the window. When I woke up, I felt something pressing down on me. Opening my eyes, I saw Lucas's face looming close. I checked my phone. 9 o'clock. Bounced out of bed. The commotion was so loud it woke Lucas up directly. He lazily lifted his eyelids and with one arm pulled me back from the edge of the bed, holding me down firmly. Sleep a bit longer. Looking at the bite mark I left on his arm, my face flushed with heat. I have class. As Lucas loosened his grip, I dashed into the bathroom. I could still hear his sigh behind me. You weren't this diligent before. In the bathroom, I looked at the mottled marks on my body. Looks like I'll have to bundle up later. Good thing it's just the beginning of spring, otherwise, people might think I'm crazy. Of course, I didn't hold back either. Lucas's back probably didn't fare much better. By the time I dawdled out of the bathroom, Lucas had already finished washing up and was fully dressed. I could still feel the lingering heat in my face, making me a bit self-conscious. "You're going too, don't you have no class?" Lucas was putting on his shoes and glanced at me. "Impressive that you remember my schedule so well." I guiltily rubbed my nose. After all, I had memorized their class schedule by heart precisely to avoid him before. The early spring morning was filled with gusts of cold wind. I suddenly felt a bit dizzy, as if I couldn't tell what year it was anymore. Lucas was fine, and so was I. "We can still go to school together." As if time hasn't moved forward, I pressed close to Lucas. And he simply pulled me into his coat. "Hee, it's been so long since I went to school with my brother." Lucas curled a faint smile at the corner of his lips, though his voice sounded muffled. "Sigh, I feel like my brother has turned into a bitter melon, though I might bear the main responsibility for this." Last night when I was exhausted and half asleep, I still heard him ask, "What if I wake up and you're gone again?" I hugged my brother's waist, just about to coax him. Unexpectedly, a furious roar suddenly came from far behind, then I was yanked away by a powerful force. Both Lucas and I were stunned. Turning my head, I saw Leo. He yanked me behind him, looking like a mother hen protecting her chick, glaring angrily at my brother. "Lucas, I'm warning you, stay away from my girlfriend, or you'll regret it." Oh no, I had forgotten about him. Lucas was taken aback at first, then frowned slightly as he realized what was happening. The expression on his face was nothing short of spectacular, a mix of anger and grievance. "Are you trying to drive me to my grave?" I immediately shook my head like a rattle drum, flustered as I pushed Leo away and ran to Lucas's side. "Let me introduce you. This is my brother." Leo's eyes widened, his gaze darting back and forth between me and Lucas. "Why, you're not. Your sister isn't." Then he looked at me with a ghostly expression. "This matter is indeed a bit complicated. I'll explain it to you clearly later." Lucas took my hand, as if declaring his sovereignty. "Then let me introduce myself. I used to be her brother, now I'm her boyfriend, and in the future, I'll be her husband." The amount of information in that sentence was so overwhelming that Leo froze in place, completely petrified. It took him a long moment before his eyes first showed confusion, then shock, and finally an intense envy. After that, he ran away, squealing and shouting. Lucas pressed his temples. "Is this the kind of friend you make when I'm not around?" I wanted to salvage Leo's image a bit, but couldn't think of any solid evidence, so I ended up saying dryly, "Actually, he's usually pretty normal." But I heard my brother sneer. "Huh, now you're speaking up for another man." So sour it made my teeth ache. But I understand. I used to be like that too, so I silently made a zipping motion over my mouth. In the days that followed, I spent all my time hanging out with Lucas. He rented a small apartment off campus. Whenever he had free time, he'd drag me out for extra meals. With the apron on, all my favorite dishes are served on the table. It must be said, his campaign speech that day really had something to it. "No man outside compares to my brother in meeting my expectations." As for Linda, she has already gone back. My fall had a significant impact on her back then. But Lucas signed the letter of forgiveness. Linda missed the college entrance exam that year but got into a good school the following year. She sent a message expressing her apologies, feeling she shouldn't have deceived me back then, but it seems my fall left her with quite a shadow, making her afraid to see me. "It's nothing. The shadow she left on me in my past life was quite significant too." I also explained the whole story to Leo, who found it bizarre but reluctantly accepted it. Then came endless bitterness. "Oh, that's great, congratulations to you." When the holiday came, we returned home. Seeing my own grave was quite emotional. My grave stands beside Aunt Lucy and Mom. The wind whistled past my ears. I asked my brother how he found me. He said he later developed severe hallucinations, often staying in my room, seeing me walk up to him, and when he hugged me, he'd snap back to reality only to find he was just holding my clothes. Uncle James and Monica the nanny thought I couldn't go on like this, so they took me to that temple in the northern part of the city. I was there, I saw our past life, I listened quietly, my eyes stinging, and buried myself in Lucas's embrace. "I'm sorry, brother, I owe you an apology. I was so scared back then, afraid that as long as I was by your side, you'd be forced to drop out of school again because of me, and then, you'd die because of me, then it would be better if I didn't exist." Lucas covered my mouth. Isn't that what you think too? He soothingly stroked my forehead. The abbot said you weren't dead, so I kept searching. As expected, my brother is a good person, always doing good deeds and accumulating virtue. He doesn't need to kowtow for 50 years like I did, until one time when I went to the temple again and met a man named Charles. He was there to interpret a dream, saying his stepbrother kept entering his dreams at night doing strange things. And he wanted to know how to break the cycle. While talking to him, he showed me a photo of his brother, but it was a group photo, and you were standing right beside him. How could I not recognize you? I was utterly shocked. I think my brother and Charles could practically form a victims alliance. They'd definitely have plenty to talk about, but since Lucas knows about his past life, then you won't get to see me turn into a little old lady. I jumped up to cover his eyes. No. You have to forget. Lucas grabbed my mischievous hand and finally gave a genuine smile. I won't forget, but you haven't seen me turn into an old man yet. My tears fell instantly. He gently kissed away my tears, his eyes curved into crescents, his voice impossibly tender. So this time, you'll have to become an old woman and see this old man with your own eyes. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.